I wanted to take a minute to welcome you back to Jason Carey Guitar for another beginner tutorial today. If you're a beginner, you are in the right place. If you are looking to play all of the chords in the G major scale that are diatonic to the G major scale, we'll begin with triads and open position, and then we'll start experimenting and taking a few pro tips into new, maybe uncharted territories for us. Okay, so if you're here, you're looking for something new, you're looking for how chords relate to one another diatonically, and that means that they're all, basically the chords are all, they all belong to the G major scale, right? So all of these chords that we're starting with today, we're starting with 7 different chords, and we'll use triads only. So every chord that we build is going to proceed from G up through the scale, and we're going to go all the way up to Do again, all right? So don't worry, just we're going to go slowly today, and I know if you're looking for a fast-paced session, this probably isn't it. We're not glancing over anything. We're really just going to take the time to absorb what's happening. So without further ado, let's just get started with the G major triad. And most of us will learn, the first time around learning the G chord will look something like this. Fingers 2, 1, 0, 0, 0, and 3. On frets 3, 2, open, 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 and 3. So that's G. I like to use, if you've been with this channel before, you know that you'll see my preference some of the time is to use the last 3 fingers of the chord. And that last 3, there's a reason for that, right? And so I love to play Eagles tunes, and I know you probably would too. And a lot of modern country and a lot of folk and a lot of, irregardless of the genre, you're going to run into the need to reorganize some of the fingerings that we use in order to create these beautiful chords that we're playing. But for now, we won't add any extensions or any alterations. We're just going to proceed through the scale diatonically with triads or 3-note chords. And this is a 3-note chord because it's a G, a B, and a D. And we're stacking in thirds, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? So G, B, D. And then we're using another G on the top and open B, which is a duplicate. Some of these notes get doubled. And then in the case of the G chord in the open position, one of the notes gets tripled, right? So we have G, G, and G 3 times. We don't need all of them, so we could use other fingering patterns. Okay, so G is the first one. A minor is the next chord. The second, the 2 minor chord. Open A, fret 2 on the D, fret 3 or fret 2 on the G, and fret 1 on the B, and open high E. You can, if you would like, use the open low E string to kind of fill out the sound. It would be called an A with an E in the bass. Again, doesn't really change the function or the sonority of the chord because it still functions as the 2 that wants to rest back to the 1. Right, but when we go back to the 2, we're going up to the B minor, which is the 3 chord. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2, 3 is the B minor, and that's a little bit more tricky. We could finger it like, we could use the kind of like the B minor 7 open position, which is really cool. And, I'll show you that later on. But let's stay diatonic to the triadic approach, okay? So we'll use finger 1 on fret 2 on the A, finger 3 on fret 4 on the D, finger 4 on fret 4 on the G, and then finger 2 on fret 3 on the B. And first finger is going to capo all of the chords, all of that second fret on the A through the high E strings. In case we there's a lot of reasons. There are a number of reasons if you wanted to play the Edie Brickell song. You know, or whatever. So you can use that that first finger capo across the entire second fret, and then you basically have coverage. You can cover that second fret, even though, well, you know, you could actually do a full capo instead of a 3/4 capo, because that F sharp note on fret 2 on the low E string also belongs to the B minor chord. Imagine that. And then the next one, G, A, B, we did G, A minor, B minor. Now we're going up to C. And we're going to find the rest of these chords together, and it won't take long. So just stick around, because we need to know all of these chords if we really wanted to approach the guitar and have some fun and add a whole bunch of other layers of meaning to our experience, right? C is another nice one that we learn early on in the game. The nice thing about this is it's 3, 2, open, 1, open. We could, again, fill it out with the G note on fret 3 on the low E string. So I'm using fingers 3, 4, 2, open, 1, and open. Or G, C, E, G, C, E, right? That's a really cool voicing for the guitar. But typically you'll hear the chords progress through by root notes, transitioning from one, ascending to the next. And this is a great way to ear train our way through the scale to the D chord. We could use open, 2, 3, and 2. We could also use the open A string, because we have a D, F sharp, and A, right? So we have a D, A, D, F sharp. We could use the A in the bottom. And if you wanted to get really crafty, if you can reach over the bottom of the guitar neck with your thumb and actually fret that second fret, you could actually play all 6 strings for this D chord right here. Super cool option, and I recommend don't overlook it. So we have G, A minor, B minor, C, and then D, and then E minor, which is, you know, one of the old faithfuls we probably already know, but we have open, low E, fret 2, open, open, open. So we have 4 open strings, and then frets 2 on the A and the D strings, and you can have a ton of fun with this stuff. And then the F sharp, you know, diminished chord is a little bit tricky to play. We would kind of look for a 1, a 3, a flatted 3, and a flatted 5th. And then this is a pretty easy, it's probably about the easiest way to play it. It's essentially the D7 chord. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Let's just kind of use it as the F sharp, A, C, and then F sharp. So we have 2, skip the A string, skip the D string. Got to just skip it for this one. Fret 2 on the A, fret 1 on the B, and fret 2 on the high E string. This has a really distinctive sound. You could use this, and here's another probably better way if you can use your thumb. So we're using thumb on fret 2, choke out the open A string with either the tip of your 4th finger and or the fat part of the thumb, Not saying your thumb's fat, but mine is. I've got a little bit of extra skin there, and it works pretty great as a, a thumb smear or whatever. I can choke out strings easily. And then it wasn't always easy, so, I'd recommend just to keep at it for sure. Finger 4 on fret 4 on the D, which is F sharp. Finger 2 on fret 2 on the A, and finger 1 on fret 1 on the B string, and then choke out the high E string. And then we have all of the notes from F sharp diminished. Oh. And then back to G chord, right? So you'll see that I interchange the first 3 fingers and the last 3 fingers. So we got past that. So let's just run through the chord progression as it progresses through the G major scale, and we'll talk about the pattern of the tetrachords here. This is really important because this is a balanced scale, and the lower tetrachord is made from a major chord, right? G major, 2 minors, and then a major. So major, minor, minor, major, and then that's 4 chords. That's a tetrachord. The lower half of the scale is followed by another major, minor, minor. We'll call it the diminished chord. Another minor because it's got that flat 3 in it, right? Some minor with a flat 5. And then back to major again. So major, minor, minor, major, and then major, minor, minor, or diminished, and then major, back to the place from whence we came. So that's really important thing to understand, and that's all 3. If we take the 3 major chords in the scale, we come up with the 1, 2, 3, 4 chord, and then the 5 chord, right? So that's why the 1, 4, and 5 chords, pa-da-ba-da-da-dum-dum, G, C, D, back to G, C, D. So music has been built. The Western music that we listen to has been built on the 1, the 4, and the 5 chords, and then variations of that. So we should get right back to, if we can play up through the scale, E minor, F sharp, diminished, and then G, we should be able to descend through the scale as well. So G, F sharp, E minor, D, and then C, B minor, A, and then G. Another thing we should be able to do if we wanted to really take our guitar skills to the next level, we may want to be able to also number these, right? So the 1 chord in the key of G is G. Like the 1 chord in the key of A would be A major, right? So G major, A minor. So 1, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, 6 minor, and then 7 minor or diminished, and then which is the leading tone that gets us back to the 1 again. Okay? You're with me still? If you're still with me, we're just going to take it for another spin. We're going to break these chords apart and add, instead of using the open strings in sort of the open position, we're going to use 2 different shapes. We'll start with the major shape, the G major. And this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we start to really want to learn how to explore the guitar. You remember the major. Let's go back one step. Here's G major. Right. 1, 3, 5. That's the G, B, D. That's all of those notes are happening here in the open chord, right? So we are going to take a look at just the triad and ascend those triads through the major scale. So G major, and then A minor, and then up to B minor, and then C major, and then G, D, that's the 5 major, and then 6 minor. This is going to get tricky here especially if you're with me on an acoustic guitar. F sharp diminished, and then we go remove the thumb from the back of the guitar neck in order to get to that octave from where we started, right? 12 frets above where we started from. We can have a lot of fun with that. And if you wanted to explore that in another way, we can definitely do that. Just let me know if you want to follow up on some more of that kind of stuff. But we're going to break those apart right now. We're just digesting this in another way with the root notes. They're pretty fairly easily accessible. We're going to do something similar to what we did here. But we're going to, major, minor, or diminished, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major, right? We're just going to take that pattern and use the major chord here, the minor chord here, and we're skipping the D and the A strings for now, the A and the D strings. We're using the root and the 3. The second, or the root and the flatted 3, the root and the flatted 3, the root and the 3, the root and the 3, and the root and the flatted 3, the root and the flatted 3, and then the root and the 3. So we don't need to have all of the notes be quiet. We can keep that D string and that A string for that matter if you like it. It sounds pretty cool, especially if you're ripping that across an electric guitar with a little tremolo on it, or chorus or vibrato, and some reverb and maybe a little echo or delay. But just to clean it up a little bit, I'm just going to choke out the A string for this whole time, right? And we're going up from the major shape to the minor shape, which is A minor or 2 minor, 3 minor, and then 4. Okay, let's come with me. We start it again here. Oh, that was cool. A minor, and then B minor, and then C major, going up to major again, D major, fret 10, and then 12 is E minor, and then F sharp minor, because we don't have the flatted 5th in there, and then we have the major. And if we know how to ascend that, we may want to know how to descend that, so we become complete guitarists. We know how to come down. Descending is all part of the game. You ask any Everest climber or any mountaineer, and they know descending is a major part of the game. Coming down it's easy to go up for some, but it is hard coming down. And we can take advantage of all of those chords. Step outside of the scale a little bit, and we can have a ton of fun. We'll get into that later on, but here's that same idea. We're just moving up from major. We got a whole step. It's another thing to really remember while we're traveling up and down, or ascending and descending through the planing triads through the diatonic to the major scale. Oh, we just can't. We could just plane the same shape, but we kind of. Sounds really cool. It's a very powerful technique to just plane those chords until we find another major chord that fits the major scale template. But it doesn't really, ear really expects certain things. To be in certain places, because we know Mary Had a Little Lamb, or whatever those nursery rhymes that most of us were able to learn when we were young. So we have that tonicization happening. Whole step up from here gets us to the 2 minor. Whole step up from there gets us to the 3 minor. Half step up from there gets us to the 4 minor. Whole step up from there gets us across the crux to the 5 major, 4 major, 5 major. Whole step up from there gets us to the minor, the 6 minor. And a whole step from there gets us to the 7 minor, and then a whole step from there, half step from there, sorry. I'm just making sure you're paying attention. It gets us to the major, or back to where we came from, right? So we're starting here, whole, whole. So we remember this, whole, whole, half. That's the first tetrachord, whole, whole, half. And then whole, whole. The tetrachord is separated by a whole step, right? So we've got G here to A is whole, whole, half. Then there's a whole step. That's the beginning of the second tetrachord, this D. Whole, whole, no. So we go up there, whole, whole, half. So whole, whole, half, and then whole, 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 half. So we can divide that tetrachord, the 2 tetrachords are that scale in half, and place the tetrachords over one another. And the scale is basically whole, whole, half, layered on top of each other. So it's a balanced scale. And it's really cool because it's so fun and so easy to play. All we need to do is know where the fingers go. And your ears are already good enough to figure this out. And keep it simple. You can just strum with downstrokes to get started, or you can start with a really simple strum pattern, such as 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3. And then when you're in transition, when you're moving from one position to the next in transition, you could go from just get that upstroke on the open strings like Stevie Ray Vaughan might have done. Do it in 3s, which is another thing that's really important to study. Triple meters. So 1, 2. So it would be 1, 2, 3. Ding, 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 a ding, 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 a ding. It's a different feel, but equally as important to do, to start working on in your own playing. Just absorbing it just gives us opens up an entirely different vocabulary that we wouldn't have otherwise mastered. Allow yourself some latitude to make a mistake here and there. Those moments of magic that's what Eddie Van Halen talked about, trying to find when he was practicing, right? So if you're not willing to make mistakes in your practice and kind of really stretch out and enjoy it, it gets a little challenging. And it's if you're not having fun, why do it? And I think you're here because I'm here having fun. And I know if you're here, especially if you're sticking around until now, you also want to have some fun with your guitar. And just stick with it and hit me up in the comments. I know this is a little bit different than what we've been cutting, but I think it's highly valuable to kind of take a break from learning songs and then learn the fundamentals, because those fundamentals are the fundamentals of music as a language, and we are learning a language that we can use to speak with, to communicate with one another at very high levels if you wanted to do that. And we can rise above normal day-to-day dialogue and just really enjoy a good, wholesome conversation with other musician friends. And that's my hope for you. And I guess, like, share, subscribe, and do all of the obligatory stuff. And if we put links in cards or links in descriptions, we certainly appreciate if you need a capo for your guitar. We certainly appreciate you purchasing capos. We've had some friends and viewers start really supporting us in that way, and we definitely appreciate it. We're very we're very thankful for that. So I wanted to just practice a little bit of gratitude here. And we've got a lot of really cool deep end stuff coming up. Some more country guitar lessons, some jazz stuff, some blues stuff, some more pop stuff, some stuff that is just there for us to absorb if you'd like to. And I guess I could keep going and doing this all day, so I won't. But I appreciate you hanging out today, and I'll see you next time. And until that time, happy picking.